Thanks for the great company, Radio Family. We returned from commercial break. Chisa Penix Brown returning with me, Renee Vaughn, and you thought the first half, Chisa, was fun. We about to really get into.
Get your pens and
That's
pads.
right. Take some great notes, Radio Family, because I tell you, by the end of our conversation this morning, you are going to be well prepared for a number of workshops and summits that cover those of you with business savvy, a business mindset, or 2017 is going to be the year in which you are that up-and-coming startup business, that entrepreneur where you have finally said, you know what, I'm going to work for me.
Yes.
I'm going to be my own boss this go-round. This edition of the weekend edition of Community Focus is definitely for you, as I have Chisa Penix Brown joining me and being the small business facilitator, Chisa, that you are. You have just done so much in the short amount of time that you have been here. Now, first of all, let's, if I can ask this, North Carolina isn't your original place of home, but you've been here a while.
I've been here a while.
Yeah.
I came from New York, and I'm still a New Yorker. I always laugh at myself. My husband calls me a New Carolinian because I've been here so long now.
Right.
But I still have a New York mindset, and the New York mindset is hustle. It's like you can't just sit on your laurels. So I think that the what's the word I want to use? The Southern charm, you know, that whole thing, I kind of have that, but then I also have like the New York grit kind of thing. Yeah. So that's why I'm like, I never will forget Mount Vernon, New York, 914. Even when we in the 336, we are still 914. So I think that has a lot to do with just the desire to keep improving. Like, I'm not worried about competing with anybody else. I'm like, what did you do yesterday, girl? Yeah. Let's do better than that. What did you do last year? Yeah. So I'm just always in competition with myself. And I think that mentality of, you know, what else can we do? Who else can we help? You know, how can we get better? I think that plays a lot into it, you know, where you're from.
And what's really great, Chisa, is that your mindset is, what's the next plan? What's the next step? Where do I go from here?
Yep.
Yeah, always room for improvement.
Always.
Even when we are doing well.
Yep.
What are ways in which we can do better? Absolutely. And here's a great transition into that. We were talking about earlier the Tech Thursdays for 2017. I want to reiterate the date, Chisa, for those who may not have been with us for the first half of the program. That's going to be Thursday, January 19th, noon until 1:30 p.m. Again, GTCC Small Business Center, 1451 South Elm, Eugene Street, and various locations with a lot of these workshops. And that's what we're going to share as we pick back up in our conversation. Here's another one that's forthcoming, and this one will actually happen before the 19th, as the 8th Annual Small Business Summit with Greensboro SCORE is about to take place. So I like the fact that you said get pen and paper ready, because Radio Family, you're going to need this to keep up with the dates we're about to share with you. This one is going to be January 6th.
January 6th. So this is like, you know what? New Year's is here.
Right.
You have no excuse. Take that day off. So you have, what, 2 weeks now?
Yeah, just
so just put it in. They don't even know what you're taking off for. So if you have your day job, just be like, I'm going to need January 6th off.
Right.
If you can't be off the whole day, maybe you can take a half a day. Because it's from 8:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
And this is also another event that GTCC sponsors every year, which is the Small Business Summit. So this was our 8th annual one. Right. SCORE is also a partner, and what's going to be different this year, because if you've been before, you understand how many networking opportunities there are. You understand how much knowledge you're going to gain. You also understand how many agencies throughout the state are coming together to be able to give you this information. If you haven't been, we are expecting, what is our thing, 250 this year. So we're trying to always increase each year, so 250 attendees, and our platinum sponsor is also Wells Fargo for this one. So SCORE this year, though, is going to have 2 sessions where you can get one-on-one or small group counseling. And that hasn't happened before, because normally it's like you go into, you know, each class, you learn something new, you can ask a couple questions, but it's not just for you. Right. So what SCORE does is SCORE is a mentoring consultant, just depends on how you want to look at it, organization. It is run by the SBA. And so what happens with SCORE is you get that free counseling. So if you're saying, I have no idea what I want to do, that's where you come to SCORE. If you're saying, look, I'm already in business, but I need help with this, that's when you come to SCORE. Because the mentors that are there have already either been retired or are currently in business, but they've been successful at what they're doing.
Right.
So they can then help you with what you need for your business. And SCORE doesn't charge you anything.
Wow.
It's totally, completely free. So the SCORE office that's here in Greensboro covers Greensboro, but also Winston-Salem, High Point area, and then Rockingham County too.
Oh, wonderful.
So if you're looking for a mentor, if you're looking for a consultant because you're like, look, I'm here, but I'm kind of stuck, then you should definitely come to SCORE. And because of the sponsorship this year, there will be the opportunity at the summit for you to get some of that one-on-one or small group counseling.
Absolutely. And I mean, just a great partnership with the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce, the Guilford Merchants Association, and the High Point Chamber of Commerce as well.
Yep.
What's really great about this too, Achisa, is the fact that for individuals that will attend this, how great is it to have that one-on-one mentoring?
It's wonderful
this, yeah.
because I think that's what a lot of people want. And
Exactly.
I always tell people, even if you're in business, because I have a couple of mentors, you don't know everything. And if you're just starting, you definitely don't know everything. So you can come to all of the free classes that are offered by the small business centers because throughout the state there are 62 small business centers. And each of them has to teach a core curriculum of classes. So you can get that, but it's still not going to be one-on-one because it's a class setting.
Exactly.
So if you have some people that are like really scared to say what they want to do.
Thinking the same thing.
So
Exactly.
if you're that person, you can still get the one-on-one counseling, and we have to sign a confidentiality agreement where we can't tell people, what's going on. When you come here, it is the person you want to talk to that's going to challenge you, that's going to say, well, have you thought about this? Well, what about this? Well, did you do this? And then point you in a direction, because if there's something that the SCORE mentor can't help you with, we have resource partners that may be able to then point you in the right direction. Like we have a list of attorneys, a list of accountants.
Fantastic.
So what do you need? And that's what the SCORE person is there to help you with, because you may not have family and friends that you can talk to about this business idea.
Right.
Or you may have family and friends and they don't want to listen, or you don't want to tell them. So you get a mentor.
Right.
Definitely. Bounce your ideas off of
Oh,
somebody.
definitely. So many different scenarios. And what's great about that is when you have somebody in that area of expertise, just imagine how many ideas that can be bounced back and forth. Because that's the great thing about it. When you do have that opportunity, radio family, to sit down with that mentor, there are so many ideas that likely you would have never thought of.
That is the best part. That idea generation is it's amazing because, I think, I'm going to just give you an example.
Sure.
The people that say, okay, I want to start a restaurant, my first question to them is always, do you have experience in the restaurant business? Now, if you tell me that all you've done in the restaurant business has been a server, that's not sufficient for you to just start a restaurant. Because if you've never run the back office, if you've never done the money, if you've never managed the people, then it is so much that goes into, if you've never ordered the food, if you don't know where the vendors are, where you're going to get your food from. I mean, it's so much that goes into that. And that's why it's like, let somebody help you. But you could start off smaller. And every time somebody says they want to start a restaurant, I'm like, why don't you start and cater something first? Yeah. Because the thing about catering is, when a person wants something, you only get enough food to make for that particular event.
Right.
You see how long it's going to take you for preparation.
Exactly.
You know what it's going to take to transport things. And you don't have to necessarily do that with the restaurant, but you do have to do all of the rest of that. Right. So it's like, start off smaller and build it up. But then I have some people that are like, well, look, I've been a chef for this many years. I've done all of these parts in the restaurant. Those people, it's like, yeah. I can see why you would definitely want to start a restaurant.
Exactly. That was such an excellent illustration, Chisa, because it makes me think of, for a lot of people, and I'll use myself as an example, and really just a lot of work that I'm in, being in media. You got a lot of young kids coming right out of school, wanting to get into the industry, quote unquote. And they're like, well, I want to be on the radio. I want to be on television. Well, it's not like you can just walk into somebody's studio and do a show.
No. No.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. Even though we are having a blast at times, Radio family, you need to see the things behind the scenes. It's like when we just want to strangle one another, and then that red light on the camera comes back on, or when that red light on
snap back in.
Right, exactly.
And just, Renee Vaughn.
Exactly. And be your professional self and keep it moving. But yeah, and that's the great thing. And of course, when I decided that this is what I wanted to do, it was like, yeah, I got to put the work into it, and every single day. Not just on one given day, but every day.
It makes a difference.
It does. And it really helps you to push yourself. And I mean that in a good way, in that, how can I make myself better the next day?
Yep.
What can I do that can make an impact on somebody? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a lot of what we'll get with the annual Small Business Summit, and then some.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I think, and I know you are a master at this, is people have to understand the relationship building. Yeah. You could be great, too. But if you have a nasty attitude,
right, that's not
people are going to talk, and that's not going to work with you. You know, you could be a great personality, but then you're the one that is like, you know, they're difficult or they're not on time. I mean, it's so many different intricacies that go to this, but the relationship building
is very important.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at somebody like Ludacris, who started out on the radio, and, you know, now he's doing everything else with the acting, and, you know, so there's one person that went from the radio to actually being a performer and a rapper, and then now an actor. And so it's just like, but you had to start somewhere. And even if you look at locally, when we're talking about Terrence J, how I'm watching the BET thing, and he's at the White House the other day hosting, you know, for Michelle and Barack. It's just like, I remember when he was here at A&T. You know, and on 102 Jams, and then going to BT is just like, but it's a transition in order for you to see where you want to be.
You know, it's so interesting you mention that, because every time I see him on occasions such as that, and even when, and he's such a humble young person. That's what I love about Terrence, is that when he comes back, it's the same Terrence as when he left here, graduated from A&T, and then began his journey, his progression. Is the fact that he's so grounded and he's so rooted, and as the saying goes, he never forgets where he comes from. Because I'm like you, Chisa, I remember listening to him, and he was still like this 17, 18-year-old with his own radio show. And I'm listening to this kid, and I'm at least at that time a good 10 years older than him, and I'm like, wow. I'm literally blown away by just his skill alone. But then when you add the personality, when you add the things that Terrence J has been able to do.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
But he is a business. Like, that's the other thing. Like, he is a business. True. And I think that some people, it's just like, I want to be on the radio because I want people to hear me, and I want to go to parties. And you know what? If that's cool.
That's true, but there's a lot more to it than
that. But it's like, you can segue and do so many other things, you know, and, you know, it's amazing.
It is
but
amazing.
You do have to consider yourself a business and maintain a certain level of professionalism in order to segue from one thing to another.
That's true. And of course, Terrence and Ludacris, those are just a couple of successful stories. And certainly for other individuals who are listening, can follow a similar path.
Yeah.
Chisa, our next big event, again, facilitated and sponsored by you, Lady Bizness and GTCC Small Business Center. This goes back to, again, our Tech Thursday 2017. I got to get used to saying that.
It's so much. It's like such a mouthful.
It is. And just the fact that we just went through 1 year, we're about to start a new one. But this continues come Thursday, February 16th. It's going to be the same time, noon until 1:30. What can we expect at this one?
This one is a different person that's going to be teaching this. So it is Diane McWhorter. And the craziest thing is Diane, she has a video production company. She came to the classes at GTCC because she was interested in the marketing part of it. And so she came to a whole entire series. So I've been working with Diane over the last year, but she is excellent at producing videos, like high quality videos, whether you want to do commercials or infomercials, you want to have that interview, you want that really polished look. So, you know, one of the things was, look, everybody may not be able to afford the big guys, but what can they do in order to do more videos? And the thing about that is, I think it's amazing that a person realizes, look, I have a business, but I'm not good at this part. So let me come take these classes. And so it's kind of one of those things where I saw a person that had a great business, and they've been in business for, I think, a couple years. So she produces videos for people, and one of her targets was to work with nonprofits. So I said, well, Diane, would you be interested in speaking to let people know what they need to do better videos? Because this is what people need to think about. People want to see you. They want to see that if they are giving you money, it is going where it's supposed to go, or that at least this way they see the need for it. So when you say, all right, well, look, let's do some videos, it needs to look a certain way if you're asking people to donate hundreds and thousands of dollars. And so if you're going to do any crowdfunding campaigns, like online, like your Kickstarters, your GoFundMes, you need a video to go with that. Because that makes it more impactful.
Exactly.
Pictures are great, but then if you get a testimonial from somebody, a recommendation, those kind of things do kind of transcend just the words, because now we can see and feel and hear what's going on, and it makes people want to donate more.
Very true. And when you look at it from that standpoint, and that's another good analogy, Chisa, is that you're right, the pictures are there, but the video can really tell the story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because it's some people, it's like, you know what, I think some people are scared to talk about themselves and about their business. So when you ask the average person what do, they just want to talk about the business, but they don't really want to talk about themselves. And a lot of times it's what you went through as to why you started the nonprofit, what made you volunteer, what affected your life. When we hear that story, it's so different than just give me some money. And I've seen some people that it's like, if people could just hear your story and they could just see you, you could see the money kind of pour in. And it's not just about money, but we do have to understand if it's a nonprofit and you're helping other people, you need money to help other people. So having that visual message out there, I think is more important, and even more so now because all of the social media outlets have gone completely crazy now. All right, so we had Periscope, but now Twitter this week, they now have you can go live, Instagram you can go live, Facebook you can go live. That's a different format for video.
Exactly.
But you can now spread your message to so many people in such a short amount of time.
Exactly.
So you got to get comfortable getting in front of the camera.
Right, absolutely. And that's so true, Chisa, you're right. And to be able to, like you said, that pretty much just sums it up.
Yep.
Being able to reach a certain amount of folk in that given amount of time. Imagine if we were still doing it the old-fashioned way. It would take days as opposed to just seconds and minutes. And the way that we see technology continue to thrive and continue to grow.
But you know who's mastered it and we never really paid attention to it?
Who's that?
The church. Like, honestly, I remember watching church on TV, back in the day. It was that kind of thing, but it's like now it's caught on to everybody else. So, I mean, the church has been using video for such a long time to reach people. And it's like now, whoa, everybody else has caught on to the fact that you can do that and that you can give a message too. Like, your message doesn't even have to be give me money. But because I'm listening to what you say and I feel like I'm attached to it, that makes me want to donate money or time, or like I know some people have been doing Christmas things. So people will donate gifts. Or, I mean, it's so many different things, and the thing is, people just need to see you and feel like they want to, trust your story, and that you're going to do what you say you're going to do with the money. So it's important. It
is important, and that's so key. I'm glad you mentioned that, Chisa, because you're right. A lot of people want to know, okay, if I'm going to donate, or if I'm going to pay for something, where exactly is my money going? And that way you do, and it gets back to what you mentioned earlier, developing that personal one-on-one relationship as well. Excellent. Well, we have another one. Again, part of our Tech Thursday. That's right, and another one. But first of all, let me welcome those of you who just may be joining us. Thank you, Radio Family. Great company, as always, including members of our community-focused family. I have Chisa Penix Brown with Lady Bizness. We've just been in great conversation, getting you ready, especially if you're a startup business, if you're a nonprofit, even if you're a for-profit. This Guilford Nonprofit Consortium, or just part of Tech Thursdays, 2017, facilitated along with Lady Bizness GTCC Small Business Center. You likely mentioned this, but if you don't mind repeating it, how did the relationship between you and GTCC come about?
You know what? That's the craziest, easiest story. I volunteered.
What, really?
That's it, because the Small Business Summit, I think it was about 5 or 6 years ago, and they were still holding it on the campus over at Jamestown. And I went because I was like, this seems like something I definitely need to go to, because I was kind of in the beginning of starting a business. I had already started, but, I knew I wanted to grow. So I'm like, let me go see what's going on here. I'm sitting there, and they were passing out paper evaluations. And it was so many people trying to go from one thing to the next thing. I was like, let me just help. Let me collect some of them. So that was year one. Then then we just moved on, and then year 2 I came. By the time we got to year 3, I had started teaching for the Small Business Center and then also speaking for the Small Business Center. So, one thing that I want to say is you being in a place and being ready to accept, doing stuff for free,
right?
Volunteering your time, it does pay off. But the thing is, I sat there and I said, this is kind of like Puffy's story when he was talking about he saw Run DMC, right?
Sure.
When I saw all of those people and everybody was like just paying attention and they're saying what they have to say and giving you information, I was like, that's what I want to do. Yeah. I want to be on the stage. I want to be the one that's giving out information. So you can't do that if you don't know what you're talking about. So one of the things was to definitely see what I could do to be involved the next year, and
right.
I volunteered. And a lot of the things that I've been a part of that have been very successful, it really did start from me volunteering. Like seeing that there was a need and saying, okay, well, what can I do to help? And, who can I meet? So, volunteering just with the heart of, I just want to help. And then, okay, yeah, this can turn into something later. So now, for the last, I think, 2 or 3 years, then I do 2 sessions. Each year. So we're going to be doing some new things for 2017. We're going to do a Monetize Your Ideas, and I'm also going to do a Power Up Your Pitch. And so both of those will be when we do the Small Business Summit on January 6th. And it's just amazing to see people go from, I think I want to start a business too. Right. I'm in business, and then I see them growing. And over the years, it's been a blessing to see so many people develop their businesses, and then they write you little notes or they leave you testimonials or recommendations. And I love it because I always say this: if you don't tell people how good you are, how are they going to know? So I always say when we start classes, so listen, this is going to be the best class you've ever been to, and you can go ahead and fill out your evaluation right now. Whatever the highest score is, that's what I want, right? And then they're just like laughing, but then at the end they're like, "This is the best presentation I've ever been to. This was great." And I've even had people who sounded like they had an attitude. Like I had one girl who I thought she really didn't like me in class, and she was just like, "I just want you to know that you kept me awake. And I didn't think I was going to stay awake this whole thing." And I'm just like, she's like, "I'm not saying it to be rude, but I just mean it like you caught my attention. I'm coming back to some more classes." Wow. So it's like you can't tell how a person feels all the time by their face or what they're doing. Right. Like they're really listening. And it's just like amazing if you can, keep people awake. I like to kind of entertain and be funny. Because I'm silly and sarcastic too. So it's one of those things where you have to find out what people want, ask them questions, in my opinion, to challenge them. Because if I don't challenge you in class, how are you going to make the decision? Like I can't just be a yes person and yes, that idea is great. It's going to work. Right. So I think that just looking at the people's businesses holistically, like it's your personal life, your business life. How are these things going to mesh? Who's going to help you? And realizing what you're not good at. So whatever you're not good at, you need to hire somebody for.
Exactly. And Chisa, getting back to what we talked about earlier, and in meeting you and coming to these workshops and these classes and seeing Radio Family, you're going to get a mix of not only that New York mentality, but that Southern girl charm. That's quite a combination. Let me just say that.
It is.
And let me back up a little bit as you were mentioning about the January 6th date with the 8th Annual Small Business Summit from 8:30 a.m. Radio Family to 5 p.m. I failed to mention this will be one of the other locations with the GTCC. This is going to be on the Cameron campus in Colfax.
Yep.
Now, we also talked about the very first one, well, not the very first one, but the next one that'll be Thursday, January 19th. That's the GTCC Small Business Center. That's 1451 South Elm Eugene Street in Greensboro. So that's what we were mentioning about them being at various locations, because that's great that GTCC has all of these strategic or different locations with which to have the workshops. Yeah,
I mean, it definitely makes a big difference. And the Cameron campus is awesome. It's a brand new building. I think it's been about 2-3 years now. LEED certified. Great. All of the green, everything with it. So it's a very accommodating building. And we would love to make sure that just going forward we can stay at that building every year, because it's one of the largest places that's able to accommodate 250 to 300 people.
That's great.
And then all of the breakout rooms are right there. So it's a great location. location. And so if people are like, well, where is Colfax? 68. So if
Exactly.
you take 68 straight, like leaving from your High Point to Greensboro and just keep going, you're gonna run right into it.
That's great.
Yeah.
And we also talked about the Thursday, February 16th, noon to 1:30. That one will be at Qmmuinty Foundation. That's 330 South Green Street, and that will cover the video marketing for nonprofits. Seeing is believing. So that leaves us to our March date. See, Chasey, you getting us planned already. The 3 months into
You better
the new
work your
year.
90
That's
days
right.
out. Work
That's
your
right.
90 days out.
Absolutely. So let's talk about for this edition of the program, Thursday, March 16th. That's another date. The time's the same, noon to 1:30. Back to the GTCC Small Business Center at 1451 South Elm Eugene Street. Fundraising with Facebook is what's going to happen as part of Tech Thursdays with this consortium.
Yes. Yes. Now the thing is, people don't seem to realize, but and it's not. You know what? It's not even widely broadcast like that. But you can fundraise on Facebook. So if you are an individual and you want to donate to a nonprofit, you can send money to that nonprofit online through Facebook. But you, as the nonprofit, have to be a 501c3. So it's not like, hey, just give me money. It is like that, but you have to have, all of your due diligence and make sure that your paperwork is in order so that this way you get approved for people to donate to you. So how many hours do people spend on Facebook on a daily basis? And if you can put your stuff out there and let people donate to you, it's so many things within Facebook because it's so integrated into other social media where people can just donate there. So I want people to think about this. If you didn't have a website, and you were using your Facebook page as your primary for your nonprofit, you could still get money for it, Even if you do have a website, they can donate money in there. And putting your events on there makes it easier for people to share them. So Facebook is a marvelous tool for nonprofits and for them to be able to let people know about their mission, spread the word online, and get people paying attention to your page and what your causes are.
That's excellent. Well, Chisa, this as it always is when you come by and visit with me, my dear. It's been a blast.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, in addition to what you have done a fantastic job in sharing, how does an individual stay in contact with you beyond a public affairs show such as this?
Well, you can go to my website, which is actually in the process of being redone, so it'll be finished probably mid-January, ladybusiness.com. I mean, it's up and operational now. It's just we're going to be changing over and launching a new one that's more comprehensive because with one of our sponsors, PhotoBiz is the awesomeness, awesome sauce. A small business that's right here in Greensboro downtown, and I had them at a conference speaking, and they made me feel like you better do this website over. And it's so comprehensive. So working with them, but ladybusiness.com, LADYBIZNESS, and then you can go to my Facebook page, which is Lady Business Inc. So you just facebook.com/Lady Business Inc. And then I list all the events there, so you can click through and register, and it doesn't matter where the events are because I'll have the link there so you can go to that particular thing.
Excellent. Well, definitely with you, Miss Chisa, there are no goodbyes just until next time. So this is just the beginning of what we can get those who are up and starting and those who are existing business owners prepared for going into 2017. It's going to be a good year.
It is. And listen, my word of the year for 2017, I do a word of the year, is amplify.
Amplify.
So that means make bigger, make greater. Whatever your vision was for 2016, amplify that vision in 2017 to get your goals achieved.
There you go. And that's a great way to bring another weekend edition of Community Focus to an end. Thanks, love. I had a ball.
Thank you. Wonderful.
You're so welcome, as always. And thank you, radio family. I know you're doing some great things in the community as well. Keep up the great work. And indeed, until the next time Chisa and I can get together and talk about some good things taking place in our communities, we hope you have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we'll talk to you next time on the next edition of Community Focus. Take care. Girl, you are awesome.
That was wonderful.
That was great.